Hi, everybody, and a very warm welcome to you all. Thanks for being here with us for the next 60 minutes or so. And I hope you'll find this to be an enjoyable 60-minute chat. So, a welcome to Melanie. Hi, Melanie. Thanks for being so super duper punctual. Big Vern, all the way putting Ballykelly on the map. My good friend Chris Davies, of course. Chris, always a pleasure to see you. Leslie Butler, Darby7, so good they called him twice, or he's twice, or she twice, or they twice. Who knows? I mean, well, we're going to talk about gender. Actually, I get myself into trouble. So, right, let me just do a double check here. I want to jump onto the old getters, so just to make sure that everything is streaming across there, and I can see the chat there as well. So just give me 1 second. And I now have the pleasure of being able to, see. I don't want to see myself. That's the last thing I want to see. But I want to see your comments. That's what I want to see. So, hi, Jackie, Ms. Brexit. Good to see you there. Ultron 1977, Donny Girl. Aloha, my friend, all the way from the Hawaiis. Good to see you there. And then over on Getter, I can see our friend Rustin. Good to see you here as well. Thanks, Joe Cool. Thank you for being here. So, hey, well, the first thing to say before we even get going, I hope you're all sitting in the dark. Because if you're not, then you haven't been paying attention. Because Boris Johnson put out a really, really important tweet earlier today. And in it, he told us that I'm just seeing some more of you joining. In this important tweet, what Boris Johnson told us was that at 8 o'clock tonight, which is right now, turn your lights out as a mark of solidarity with Zelensky and Ukraine in their war against the evil Putin. So listen, are you all sitting in the dark? Because if not, I'm going to have to call round to have words. Meli Kaliki Maka to Donny Girl, who appears multi-talented Donny Girl on both streams. And I know, yes, a lot of you can do that. But I don't care which stream you come on, by the way. It's just great to have you here. Thanks so much for being here. By the way, I do have a Christmassy thing on me, so just to let you see that I am very much in the spirit of the festive season. So I've got my coffee in front of you. And of course, because it's a Wednesday night, I'm not, Donny Girl's supposed to be working. Shh. Donny Girl, nobody knows. Nobody will know that instead of working, you was tuning in here to the most entertaining live stream of the ball on a Wednesday evening. Jed promised a rant. Oh, did you, Jed? Well, then, Jed, you better come on and explain yourself. What is this rant of which you speak? So Jed's with me. Here he is. As you can see, much recovered from his monkeypox.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, David. And
Hi, Jed.
Claude, I did in the chat last night when you did that brilliant hard truth last night, David, with the Lanas as normal. In the chat, they were asking for a rant from me. But obviously it wasn't my stage, it was yours and Alana's stage last night. So I suppose at some point tonight I have to go into a rant mode. Probably would get there very quickly.
Okay, well, we will. Don't worry. I'll make sure we get you. We're both in rant mode. Can I say, Molly Bites, good to see you. Oi to you, Alphabet Cat. Yes, good to see you here as well. Yeah. So from what I'm saying, Chad, most of the people, in fact, everybody in this stream has ignored Boris Johnson's advice to turn the lights out.
David, I can turn the lights out. Are you ready? Just watch the background. The lights are out. Hey, there we go. Hey, like magic.
Well, Vladimir.
They weren't out for long, David. I put 50p in the meter.
So yeah. But did you see that, Jed? Did you see Boris Johnson putting out a ridiculous...
I didn't, mate. As you know, I've been out tonight to carol services.
Yes.
Or a carol service, should I say. And I've been singing Glory to the Lord and all those good things because it's Christmas. And it's festive, and you have to.
Just when you say that, thanks, Leslie. You want to see the range of Christmas jumpers I've got, by the way. I had a different one on last night. I got this one. I've got a third different one as well. And they make an appearance, Jed, usually this week in the year, and then they're put away for another year. But Yeah, I'm reading the comments here. Old Baz says over on the.
I've got that one, I think.
I says I was
yeah.
going to take. Come on, put old. If you can get old Baz
I'm
on.
getting it, David. Give us a second. It takes me
Yeah.
a second just to get it across.
Yeah, this
Onto
is
the old,
magic of
from the getters to the. There we go.
Yeah. So old
This is
Baz,
old Baz.
he was gonna take part in the stream, but I thought I'd strike like everyone else. Hang on a second, old Baz. Are you saying the nurses aren't worth a package of 50 grand a year? Are you saying that? Are you saying that the ambulance drivers aren't worth, what are they on about? 45 grand, I think, average. Hi, Dreamer 1066. Hi, John Hillhouse. Thanks for being here on this caffeine-driven stream that we've got going. So we're actually on the platforms, by the way, just for lols, Jed. We are on the YouTubes, we're on the Facebooks, as well as all the free speech platforms. And I continue to deliberately put stuff out there because I hate them so much, not the people on them.
We're also on davidvance.net via Rumble, yes. David, of course.
And don't forget, everybody, if you haven't already, subscribe to davidvance.net. I mean, what are you waiting for? Do I have to call?
You're missing out.
All the stuff. There will be, by the way, during the Christmas break, when things get a little bit quiet, because people have things to be doing, there will be an exclusive special review going up on davidvance.net. So do make sure you visit it on a regular basis. There's always lots of good content there. Fat nurses, yes, 50K. Well, they need 50K, Billy Piper, because they need loads of food. I got myself into trouble.
You very rarely, David, that's a point. You very rarely see a slim nurse.
It's not weird. Yeah.
All I'll say is, who ate all the pies?
Oh, how can you say it? They're all down the food bank. Every nurse
eating pies.
I'm sorry, I know.
David. I just find it absolutely bizarre. Somebody who can be on with benefits, 50K a year, then turn around to the impoverished British people and say, hey, we saved your life 2 years ago. No, you didn't. You killed more than you saved. But we saved your lives 2 years ago. And now we want a 19% pay rise. No. I tell you what, they should have a 19% cut, because all they did for those 2 years, most of them, was TikTok videos, poor TikTok videos. David, your TikTok videos are brilliant. Remember, David's on TikTok. Good plug. I'm sorry, David, I'm in the mood now. I've got my mic, I've got it in my hand, and here I go. And then they sit there on the fat arses all day long, and they come around, once, twice a day with a medicine trolley. Oh, yeah, I'll give you another jab, or I'll give you another tablet. And then they go sit on the fat arses again, eating cake and drinking coffee and tea at our expense, and then have the cheek and audacity to come and say, you don't give us 19%, we're going on strike. Well, I'll tell you what, go on strike, but if you go on strike, you're sacked.
So lots of, as you know, I like to bring as many comments in as possible. So I see, I'm going to weigh in a second. Old Baz retorts, every time I go to A&E, they're on the phone to the local Chinese. Alphabet Cat says those TikTok videos don't pay for themselves, and Ultron over on the YouTube says that they're all complicit in fraud and a crime against humanity. Well, Ultron, that is also actually, I mean, we can laugh at the TikTok. We shouldn't really laugh at it. It's annoying what they did over TikTok, but your point, Ultron, is probably the substantive point that these nurses, yeah, they're. Chris wants to know, do I fancy the job as a CEO of Twitter? Well, as you know, Elon is stepping down, which I think is a great shame, and he's looking to find a replacement. So if they want someone who will mercilessly enforce free speech for all, then I'm your man. But I suspect it's
that's a line from a song, ain't it, David? I'm your man.
Yeah, I know. Well, you probably start singing it in a minute. But what's this? Donny Girl says, "Too bad I can't share pics." I don't know. Can people share? I don't know, Jed.
No, you can't. No, unfortunately,
you have to describe them, Donny Girl, and that's just not as good. So look, we had this sort of a minute or in darkness for Ukraine, which everyone rightly laughed at. And then, did you see, folks? Did you see that Zelensky himself went to, and in fact, as we record this, he is in DC. He's being hosted by Joe Biden and, God help him, Nancy Pelosi. I think Nancy's providing the wine or the alcohol.
Of course.
That is if he's there. You see,
and the ice cream. Nancy's got the ice cream. Don't forget.
Yeah, and a hammer if that's required as well. But the thing is that interesting comment. I just want to pick some of them up. Old Bat says here, I'm a nurse that lost my job for not jabbing. I now work in a factory. Well, you see, Old Bat, can I just say, this is the absolute scandal disgrace. That the health system bitches about the fact they don't have enough nurses. And then when you have deeply principled nurses who respect bodily autonomy and didn't want to take the experimental gene therapy, they got rid of you. So I think that's shameful and a disgrace. And it's another reason why in the UK I am a critic of the NHS. I was going to say, Jed, I got into trouble with I think it was a Twitter account called Socialist Nurses. Quite a big account, 99,000 following them, probably all bots. And they were very upset because I simply pointed out, as I repeatedly do on my various streams, that the typical package outside of London for a nurse is 50k. Now, just so we're really clear, I just wanted to get this one out of my system, Jed, because I know people will watch this on Twitter. I'm not saying their salary is 50k. Their salary average median is about 35k, but they get other benefits, including pension provision, which brings them up to 50k. That's from the government actuarials. So there's no debate on that, NHS nurses. If you can't handle that, then just tough. The reality is you're well paid, as Jed rightly pointed out, Jed. I don't see there's any argument for them getting any more money. And so I think that is just a simple
The thing is, David, right? I could, if I'm being generous, because it's that time of year, peace to all men and all that. I could say, yes, you could have a pay rise, 1 or 2%, but you need to improve your productivity, and most of all, you need to improve the survival rate of patients coming to your hospitals. Because no matter how much money we throw into the NHS, more and more people die at the hands of the NHS.
Oh, no, we talk about this. Prior to COVID, it was about 12,000 people died unnecessarily a year from government data. I used to talk about it, Jed. That's 3 times the number who died on 9/11. So, and that's not even talked about. But anyway, these nurses, I mean, my thinking is that, they're not doing themselves any favors. And if people die, then it's down to them. Donegal says, in our medical building, there's a sign, and the doctor has a sign on his door: "Don't come in if you're not jabbed." Well, I wouldn't be going in then, would I? I don't think you would either, Jed. I mean, such doctors should be sacked, actually.
No, they should. I just say, don't worry about it. We said hello before the stream started, David, and she didn't come back to me because clearly she was having a Christmas tipple. And nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely not. No, at this time of year, I've got my neighbours and whatever coming around tomorrow evening.
Yeah.
Good on you.
No, that's fine, Melanie. Hopefully, the Christmas tipple will see you through the duration of this one. So anyway, what I just saw a comment there. Leslie says they've had that much extra time off sick recently as well. Oh yeah. It's weird, that, isn't it? Weird how the people who
remember that, David, where they could just they could self-diagnose and just take as much time as they needed off.
Yeah, strange.
Everybody else could do that. Everybody else can't get a sick note.
No, but Chad, what did you think of the ambulance drivers being off on strike today?
I think it's outrageous. People like that should be forced to go to work, just like soldiers are forced to go to work, just like police officers are forced to go to work. The fire brigade, the ambulance service, doctors and nurses should be forced to go to work. And if they don't want to go to work, I know a lot of men that have guns that will point them at their heads to make them go to work. Well, that's what it should be, because people's lives depend, and they'll say, "Oh, nobody will die from this." I'm telling you now, people are dying now because they can't get an ambulance. They couldn't get an ambulance to start with, even less so now. And when they get to the hospital, eventually, if they get there in the back of a taxi. They'll get there and there'll be no nurses to do anything to them. So they will die, and it will be blood on their hands, the ambulance drivers and the nurses likewise.
Yeah. I mean, on just on this, just to zone in on the issue of the ambulance drivers. I put out a post earlier today, and it's quite horrifying. It concerns a pensioner, a 93-year-old pensioner, Jed. She was left lying on the floor waiting for an ambulance for 25 hours after suffering a hip fracture. 25 hours, Jed, 93 years old, hip fracture, which I would imagine is a very painful.
Yeah, extremely painful, David.
Yeah. So I mean, and yet these ambulance drivers, oh no, we need more money. I think you're.
That's it. But the other thing is, David, right? They're saying we need more money. Again, it's the economy, stupid. It's economics 101. I want more money because the price of things have gone up. So I'll give you more money, which means I have to put the price of things up.
Exactly.
Circle. But socialists never get that because they think there is this magic money tree that you say, right, I want to give the nurses 19%, grow me some money. Yeah, and it doesn't work. In fact, I'm going to correct myself. Normally, it doesn't work like that. However, for the 2 years during the scamdemic, they were more than happy to print money from trees.
Yeah, we're on YouTube. It's not a scamdemic.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, YouTube. No, it's the most deadliest pandemic in history, except for the Black Death.
Yeah.
The Spanish flu.
And nobody said. Melanie Bliss says, see, Melanie brings up something. She says, did you see that Terry Hall from the Specials died suddenly? Melanie, actually, believe it or not, I was a big fan. Back in the day, I was a fan of the Specials. And also, whenever Terry Hall left them to join Funboy 3, and then he formed a band called The Colourfield, I followed all of that stuff. I like Terry Hall. He died of, Melanie, pancreatic cancer. His family have revealed he'd been suffering from pancreatic cancer. I will leave you guys on all the streams to work out. Have we seen there's been a sudden increase in pancreatic cancers in the past 2 years? I have no idea what could have caused that. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I would just point that out. I was sad that he died anyway, Melanie. I liked his lugubrious look that he had. No, I want. Yeah, Ultron says I know of 3 different cases where the ambulance service had taken more than 9. I mean, Jed, if you need an ambulance, right? You need an ambulance within like 20, 30 minutes, probably maximum. In this case, as Ultron says, all 3 died from the injury or condition. I mean, this is the stuff that horrifies me. Well, yes,
but it's also the stuff that things like the BBC and Sly News won't talk about.
No,
because they're on the side. They're no socialists. They are socialist outlets. Jen, the fist and the sickle.
Well, I want to put 2 theories to you and to the stream, and tell me what you think, guys. Number one, I think this industrial action we're seeing, by nurses and by ambulance drivers, I believe that it is driven by on the one part, they want more money. Yeah, I understand that. And they want to bring the government down as well. It is, Jed, we've been around long enough. They did this in years gone by to try and bring especially conservative governments down. And I'm no fan. I mean, I'm an implacable enemy of this particular conservative government. But this is a politically driven strike. I want to say that. Second thing I wanted to say to you was, and I see our mutual friend, Jed, Richard Fairbrass of the Freds. I think he sort of thinks that maybe I talk too much about why the nurses are ungrateful, which they are, and don't concentrate enough on the higher ups. And Richard's got a point, to be fair, because when you see the vast plunder of our taxes that goes on, Jed, to keep these layers and layers of management, 100 grand for a diversity training course, for example. That's what the NHS is about. So it's not just the nurses, Richard. So I kind of agree with your point. We shouldn't, Jed, forget about the lavishness that goes on in this vast bureaucratic monolith, should we?
But it's all the NHS, David, whether it's the nurses, doctors,
Yeah.
porters, whatever it might be, or the diversity officers and all the other bureaucracy behind it. It's the NHS. It's what successive governments, including Labour, successive governments have created. It started with Labour creating the sacred cow, and when it became that and it was put up on that pedestal, then nobody can do anything to actually reform it and make it into a health service. It's no longer a health service. It's a ball and chain around people's necks now.
Yeah, but they give it a George Cross. They clapped. They were clapping at 8 o'clock with their pots and pans. 3 cheers for the NHS. That was a deep state psyops, in my opinion, Jed, to further make the NHS, like basically a new religion, a British religion. Forget about Christianity. Worship the NHS. Pay them whatever they want. Doesn't matter. Pay them what they want. And by the way, that's the other thing. Did you see, Jed, that a lot of these people who become NHS doctors or locums, what they then do, or nurses even, they then sub themselves out. They get locum work, which I was hearing about someone who is able to rake in, get this, and they're just doing, get this right now, just locum nursing. So they're picking shifts, right? Yeah, they're able to pick the shifts that they go in for, and they're able to coin £20,000 per month. 20 grand a month, and all they're doing is they're picking the shifts that they want to go into, pick the lucrative shifts, and it's just boom bonanza. It's a disgrace.
It is, right? It is. The thing is, I think the government is also a disgrace because it should be training more of its own doctors and nurses, where it literally took away, didn't it? It took away those places. So they're at blame there. And what they say is, oh, well, it takes 4 years for a nurse, 7 years for a doctor. We can get them from India for cheaper or quicker. We could get them now. But the thing is, because it's now, because it's just in time logistics, that will mean they will never train any more doctors or nurses or enough doctors and nurses. Just like with gas and electric. It's all just in time gas and electric. We got rid of all the gas storage plants. We've got rid of all the coal-fired power stations. You name it, we've done it. And Luke, where we are, I've just had the water off for 36 hours. Okay. Come back on now. It's on as a trickle, but it's on. The thing is, though, they're throwing water at you by the bottle load. And actually, when I went to get some last night, he opened the back door of my car. I was still in my car. And he opened the back door, and I jumped out. What are you doing? He said, I'll put it on the back seat. I went, no, you won't. You're not putting a bottle of water on the leather seat in the back of my car. Get it in the boot, dickhead. Oh, sorry, David. Sorry, I made it put it in the boot. But, I mean, the thing is, we were told by the guy stood on the street, one of the workers with a water tanker, that yesterday it went off. When it went off at 4 o'clock, that evening when it went off, the guy at the water tanker said they could actually turn it back on now. The problem's been fixed. But it's taken them another 24 hours to do it. You know what? I've got a reason why. And I don't know this. I'm just surmising. Because if it's off for a set amount of time, I reckon they'll get funding from the government.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's all a scam.
I think they get money from the government if it's off for a certain amount of time to assist with getting it back, switched back on.
Now, a couple of comments I want to read out. Billy Piper's made a couple of great comments I want to share with everybody over in the YouTubes. Billy also points out that locums, these extraordinarily well put locums, are not long-term accountable for the obvious reason, Jed. They're not around in the long term. So, if things go bad, well, they've gone. So that's a great point, Billy. And your second point is also a brilliant point. I completely agree. Academics should be promoted for STEM and STEM only and fully funded. Agree, Billy. I wonder, would you agree with me that I think people, and I wonder if does our friend Old Bat over on Getter agree, that nurses, you should be able to enter nursing without having a bloody degree. This degree thing is one of the worst things they've ever done.
But they've done it with the police, though, David, as well, haven't they?
I know, Jed, but it's mad.
It's a disaster.
Yeah.
It's a disaster.
Yeah.
A nurse does not need a degree to walk around the ward, make sure you're tucked in nice and neat, and go,
Nope.
hang on, the doctor's prescribed you
Yep.
5 milligrams of X drug, and it
Yep.
needs to go right. Okay. And we've proved over the past 2 years, apparently, how easy it is to jab somebody. So you don't need a degree with that, because any Tom, Dick, or Harry could do it. Even girl at the checkout at the supermarket were probably doing it on her time off. But the point is, anybody can jab and they can read it and go, yeah, 5 milligrams, yeah, that's 5 milligrams, cool. Roll up your sleeve, good, you've got it. Right, I'm off back to the office now to sit down, have another cup of tea and a slice of cake and do a TikTok video. So don't disturb me for the next 4 hours.
See, my idea of a perfect NHS hospital. Oh, hi, Gorgonite, and you get as well. Good to see you there as well over on the Getters. My idea of a perfect NHS hospital, and this is just a fantasy, of course, is way back in the Carry On movies of the 1960s. You would have Hattie Jakes as matron of the ward.
Ooh,
And you
matron.
matron, yeah, and you would have had Kenneth Williams, or whatever, as the consultant, and the wards were. It all looks so great, How the hell did we get from that, Chad? That to the absolute.
I'll tell you how. Socialism.
Well, and immigration.
Tony Blair.
Immigration.
Yeah, he started the rot with immigration. That's where it stems. It stems with him wanting to rub the right face in immigration. And look at us now, 20 years down the line, and we're sinking in a sea of disgusting, unwanted people from all across the globe who are coming here and taking hard-earned taxpayers' money. Because why? Because they can. Why don't they stop in France? Because France says, bug off, you're getting no money. Why did they not go in Germany? Bug off, you're getting no money. Why do they not go anywhere else in Europe? Because they all say, bug off, you're getting nothing. So they come here, and what do they get? They get 4 5-star hotels, 3 meals a day, 40 odd quid in the pocket, a mobile phone, and then because our immigration system is so broken, they know they will never, ever leave. And the fact that they'll never leave means the government in the end will go, here is an amnesty, here you can stay. And then he turns around and says, right, now as I'm a British citizen, look, born and bred, I've got the passport, I'll now bring my 32 family members over. That is Tony Blair's fault, and that is why he should hang.
Well, I mean, I have to sort of say that metaphorically speaking.
Yes, metaphorically. Yes.
Metaphorically speaking, folks. Just in case the FBI is watching. Hello, FBI. But David McCollum. Hi, David. Good to see you on the YouTubes. But a final point, Jed, in this. We'll move on a sec. I've spent a long time on it, but and I wonder, does everyone? I'd love to know, do you folks agree with me? I always thought that nursing, when I was young and a teenager and whatnot, the girls who went on to become nurses, they were driven because it was vocational and because it was caring. The essence of being a nurse, I think, Jed, it is about taking care of vulnerable people with all kinds of conditions, all age groups, doesn't matter. That's what a nurse should be doing. It's not about their academic so-called stupid degree. It's about their caring ability, their ability to empathize with patients, their ability to take care of people in pain, and to give them all the things that they need. That's the essence of being a nurse. And so I simply say, and ask you this, Jet, and to the stream as well, what sort of caring is it that says, yeah, well, we're off now, we're on the picket line, look after yourselves, and the wards did operate, I know that, but were they at optimal level? No, they were not. Old Bat says over on Getter here, she loved caring for the old. Exactly. That is the essence of being a nurse. And I'm afraid, Jed, it's been lost. It's about
that's right, David. Because what did like as I've just said, what did the nurse usually do? They took you up in bed, they brought you a cup of tea and a biscuit, they made sure you had your meds at the right time, and they just fluff your pillow, and they were there if you just wanted to have a chat. They're not. The thing is, they're not there now because they're sat in their office working out the TikTok routines and eating all the pies. You do not. You're very rare do you see a slim nurse. They're all fat, and they're fat because they sat on their fat asses all day.
Well, okay, so I would advise all nurses to contact Jed for further
Yeah,
information.
contact me at the following address.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
care.com.
Well, you can get him over at davidvance.net. Leave a message from over there. David
Oh
McCollum.
yeah. I've had some of those messages, David. I delete them straight away.
David says here on YouTube, physio training has also been ruined by being university based with a useless degree. You see, it is, David, I think, something that separates the good people from the very average or mediocre people. People are driven by, if you're driven by a sense of caring and looking out for you, fellow human beings, okay, with a physio background, with a medical background, that is fine, but that's not how it is. That's just not how it is anymore. So I'm afraid, Melanie, I'm with you. Bring back the matron. Bring back Hattie. I want Hattie Jakes as ward matron. I want Barbara Windsor. Now I know she's dead, but it doesn't matter. The young Barbara Windsor as the dolly bird on the ward. I want a caring NHS, and
I want an NHS that makes me better, David, and doesn't
Mm.
make me sick.
Mm.
Whether that is making me sick by trying to kill me, or making me sick because of the amount of taxation they've taken out of my pocket before I've even got there.
Well, here we got. Jed, I'm going to push back at you because our good friend Gorgo Knight says they say that they're overweight because they don't have time to take care of themselves. Lols. Is that
yeah.
Is that also like, oh no, we don't have enough money, we have to go to the food bank? You go to the food bank,
David,
greedy. That's why you go to the bloody food bank. You want free stuff. During COVID, they got free stuff, which the rest of us had to try and make do. So I'm afraid overindulged, over budget, and I'm sorry, I've got no sympathy for the nurses who were in strike. I have complete respect for the nurses, Jed, and there were some of them who did not go on strike. Just so we have to be careful that we don't overgeneralize. And David McCollum probably finishes it out rightly by saying it's the National Sickness Service. Exactly, actually, well, that is exactly the point. I mean, that's, David, something you can come on and in 2023 and we can talk about how we need to transform the way we look after our health.
I just find it ironic, though, David. Sorry to jump in. Yeah. Ironic, though, a fat nurse will say, "Oh, you're more at risk because you're fat, and you're going to die because you're fat." Blah blah. And she stood there stuffing another cake in her mouth. Hang on, kettle pot. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I mean, thank God, I've had very little direct experience with the NHS, apart from when my father was dying, and I experienced it then. And I experienced it when my wife was unwell with kidney stones in 2018. So there's been two occasions when I've been interfaced with the NHS, right? And on both times, from personal experience, Jed, I agree. I saw nurses sitting at their workstation and no more interested in the patients on the ward than the man in the moon. They just weren't interested. And I'm sure David McCollum would agree with Gorgo Knight, who says we need a return to a more natural medical field, more homeopathic medicines, more naturopathic. That's what we need, Gorgo Knight. And I think perhaps in 2023, because it fascinates me, and I am 100% behind this. I think we need to talk about that.
Yeah,
Donny Girl, sorry, Jed, I just want to finish. Donny Girl does bring up the topic. There's been a lot of Twitter Spaces. Donny Girl, and Jed doesn't know this yet, but I intend to explore Twitter Spaces as well, because I know this is the new audio platform on Twitter, whereby I can set up this like a stream like this, and we could all talk. You have the benefit of not getting to see my mugshot, so that's good for you guys. And then if it was me and Jed, say we're hosting it, and we could then bring you guys in, and you could actually we wouldn't see you.
That's what you tried the other night, then, that I could see on your thing.
Yeah, that was me messing.
I wonder what that was. I was looking for the stream that you'd done. I'd checked obviously in here in this studio.
I messed about to see. Yeah, Jed, I had a bit of an experience. As you know, I'm always great to experiment. I think Elon Musk did one last night, and I think there was problems, and I think it came down, but I think it's probably back up. So Donny girl, if you want to, if Jed and I can crack this one for 2023, we might try and find ways to bring in a Twitter space once a week. Well, I'm not sure when we do it.
Yeah,
God,
sounds good, David. I mean, but we have podcasts where people can come and join us as well, don't we? On Thursday.
We do have a podcast space, but but the problem is that on Twitter, I mean, this is streaming to Twitter as we speak, and there will be the opportunity for people to chat. Anyway, we'll have to see about it. I see lots of comments. David McCollum, he's getting wound up here. He's talking about
he is. I can see that. Yeah.
NHS food is diabolic. Oh, it is. It's a devil's food. It's a devil's food, NHS. It always amused me that actually, when you would go in to visit somebody in hospital and, for whatever reason, you might have to go down to the canteen and the food was bloody odd. It's fatty. I have no idea what it is now, David. I have no idea. But yeah.
Well, it's all contracted out now. And I remember coming back from Bosnia. And I had to come back because I had an injury, and I ended up in the military hospital down in Portsmouth. I think it's now closed. Actually, its name will come Aslam. I think it was Aslam or something like that. And even there, it was contracted out. So you didn't have a standard menu. Every single item that you wanted for your meal, you had to tick. Yeah. They weren't like, I'll have a roast dinner. Oh, I'll have fish and chips. You had to tick every single item. If you didn't tick it, you didn't get it. You didn't get a meal. And when you first get there, you don't get a clue. They throw this in front of you and they were trying to whip it away. And you go, scribble down. I think my first meal was a piece of fish and a slice of tomato.
Yum.
Because that's all I could tick down before they ripped the bloody form out of my hand.
I see Northern Monkey saying here he heard that nurses were being forced to eat leftovers. They did say that. You're right, Northern Monkey. They did claim. I mean, the claim. Well, I'm done with them now. I'm not going to keep going about it. But honestly, I don't think they're doing themselves any favor. I know I can see all the attacks on me over on Twitter because I've stood against them. I've exposed the fact that they're not on paupers' wages. They get an average 50 grand if they're outside of London package, and if they're in London, they get about a 60 grand package. Is that enough? Probably not, but it's what they're. Frankly, I think it is. It's what we can afford, and it's as simple as that. Newgate says the best food in hospital is curry. I'm not sure if curry would be advisable necessarily, but it depends.
No, if you've got acid reflux like me.
Curry, I think is probably an acquired taste. So okay, so look, that's the NHS. So that they've been going on about that all day. The ambulance, all of this stuff here, and it's hard. It's hard not to get caught up in it, Jed, isn't it? Really, but
can I just say sorry, David, because I did miss it. David, Merry Christmas to you. Sorry, David McCullum, Merry Christmas to you as well, too, buddy. Thank you. Sorry, his message came up, and I did mean to get back to.
Yeah, no. That's fine. I'll tell you something else I wanted to bring up, and that is a little bit of honesty, truth speaking, in the mother of all parliaments, because we had Andrew Bridgen MP, Conservative MP, stand up in the Commons a few days back and basically express his deep concern about the vaccine injuries that he was aware of, and he asked a lot of very, very sensible questions. Jed did, Andrew, and I mean I have invited for him to come onto the channel. He knows where we are. If he'd like to come on, I see he's been on certain other platforms, but regardless of whether he comes on here or not, it doesn't matter. I put out a podcast today saying an honest MP, and I think Jed, he is an honest MP. He stood up. He's asked the right questions. I'm not sure if is that the podcast you can.
That is not the podcast. That is the clip.
Do you want to play a minute or so of it? Can you do that?
I can, David. Yeah, I mean it's only just over a minute long anyway.
Yeah, listen to this, everyone. Heads up. Listen to Andrew Bridgen. Q.
It's coming.
Attention by a whistleblower from a very reliable source that one of these institutions is covering up clear data that reveals the mRNA vaccine increases inflammation of the heart arteries. They are covering this up in fear that they may lose funding from the pharmaceutical industry. The lead of that cardiology research department has a prominent leadership role with the British Heart Foundation, and I'm very disappointed to say that he has sent out non-disclosure agreements to his research team to ensure that this important data never sees the light of day. This, Madam Speaker, is an absolute disgrace.
So there you have it. Andrew Bridgen, he's speaking, obviously, parliamentary privilege and all of that, but YouTube and Facebook. This is an elected member of the British Parliament speaking and raising concerns which I reckon everybody watching this, wherever you are, would share. In other words, you know, depending on where you stand in the spectrum, and I'm pretty far down that spectrum, you would sort of say, well, you know, there can't be an MP in the United Kingdom or indeed anybody in Congress, for those American folks watching this, who do not have, you know, constituents who have had adverse reactions up to and including death, obviously. And so I was very pleased that Andrew Bridgen said this. I'm also very disappointed to see that I believe he's been suspended from the Commons. Somebody saying, I saw it there pop up.
Yeah. That's funny, isn't it, David? They found I can't say it. Finding funny things that he's done. Irregularities. There we go.
Weird.
Yeah, his accounting. They only seem to have found that since he started opening his mouth. It's funny, isn't it?
And as Gorgo Knight says here over in Getter, this was a great speech. He hit every point, and I hope his voice gets heard. Well, as I say, Gorgo Knight, we'd like him to come on our stream so he and I can chat about this. But he did hit every note. He was very reasonable. And for example, unlike probably, I suspect, most of us, he's not a pure blood. He has, because he did say in the beginning of the speech that he's taken 2 of the jabs himself. So all the more respect for him, actually, in a way, Jed, because, okay, he went down that road and he's not anti-vax, although I can't say the same. And but he's still raising the questions in Parliament. That's what
an MP is supposed to do.
Well, you're right, of course. You're right.
And come on. You know, oh God, it drives me nuts because we vote for these people to go and speak on our behalf, and then when they get there, they are they're like snakes. You know, they're just there to go, all right, well, what expenses can I get? Oh, I can claim for a second home. Oh, that's brilliant. And then once the taxpayer for that second home, it's mine, and I can sell it for multi-millions. Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, can I claim for this Mars bar? Can I claim for this paperclip? Oh, yeah. You don't need receipts. Everybody else in the country that wants to claim expenses has to have a valid receipt. But you don't know. You just tell us what you've expensed, and I won't pay it. Don't worry, it's only taxpayers' money, and that is the problem. It is taxpayers' money, and every time we talk about taxpayers' money, the people that spend it don't give 2 flying Fs about it. NHS, whatever it is, civil service, they just waste it because they've never earned it. That's the problem.
Can I just say, I see David McCollum talks about the doctors who are in complete denial. Exactly, David. Can I recommend to everybody that Dr. David Cartland, who's been on with me and Jed several times, David is one of those who have been allowed back on Twitter. So you can find Dr. Cartland over on Twitter, and of course you can find him over in Getter. So he's on both platforms now. Hi, Iberstellar, by the way. Hi, thank you, Globus Hystericus, and actually, Globus Hystericus, you've picked up on my point when Andrew Bridgen made that excellent, deeply principled speech. There was a total of, including Mr. Speaker, 7 people, Jet, 7 people out of 650 in the Commons. And this enrages me because, you know, listen, Parliament's been captured. I'm telling you guys, it's been captured. We don't have representation in there apart from arguably one bloke. Jed?
Agree. David, I'm sorry, I couldn't put it any better because I think now, you know, out of 650 MPs, is that what the total is at the moment? I think there is 1, maybe 2 that actually speak for the people that voted for them. and they put them there.
Yeah, but
So we're fighting the entire establishment, bar one or two. And how many are in the Lords now? 7 million, something like that. We have to fight them as well. Then we have to fight the civil service. Now we're fighting the NHS. Now we're fighting the train drivers. We're fighting postal workers. I'll tell you what, everybody's go out on strike, and when the lights go out and your grandma dies, then you'll see how
actually,
you've been.
Yeah, this is something I've actually thought, Jed, that if the people who fill the supermarket shelves went on strike, and the people who drive the lorries, the white van men, if they went on strike, then the country would grind to a halt.
Oh yeah, who's going to serve me coffee at Pret? Eh? If Pret went on, you know what I mean? And that line goes so many different ways, doesn't it, David? All the way from Newsnight when it was on, yeah. Who's going to serve your coffee at Pret? Yeah, that was in 2016, David.
I know.
And that still resonates today because that is how the middle class think.
Totally
bringing 60 billion migrants because I want a coffee. That's what
I want to welcome because I see she's just joined the stream. I want to welcome my friend Canadian Mom, who's a little bit late to the stream. But Canadian Mom, obviously, Jed, we've talked quite a bit about health systems in most of the show, actually. But she obviously in Canada's taken a very, very dark turn, and there's there's quite funny memes. I enjoy them, but it's basically if you go to see a doctor in Canada, and you're saying that, oh, I've got a sore toe, the doctor's response may well be, have you considered euthanasia? Because I'm sure Canadian Mom will agree. The numbers of people being euthanized, going through euthanasia in Canada is there's more people. There's 33,000 people from 2016 to 2020 who have had so-called assisted suicide, which is more than the number of people who died from allegedly COVID. So it's very dark, very, very dark in Canada.
No, it is, David. But the thing is, when it's just the same, it's that slippery slope in it, because apparently, from what I understand, when the legislation was brought in Canada, and I'm sure Canadian Mom will put me right, but I'm paraphrasing here. It was a very, very narrow field that you could actually get the self-assisted euthanasia. And since then, it's been broadened. Now to the point where a woman asking for a stair lift because she's disabled in a wheelchair gets offered to be euthanized.
Yeah.
And you think, whoa. And that is the problem with this. And this is where I feel that we are going completely and utterly wrong. Because for those that are really, really suffering, and it would be kinder to end their life than to continue their life. I can understand it, but it must be a clear, a concise, an informed decision by the individual themselves without coercion from anywhere else. But that's how it starts, and it starts with the good intention. Then it ends with, just like Canada, oh, you want a stair lift? How's about we just give you a little injection and we'll just end it there, shall we? Because you're a burden on us. You see, you wheelchair folk, you're a burden, because we have to do ramps on the pavement, we have to do ramps into buildings. You're just such a burden. It'd be easy if you just took this little jab and we'll send you to sleep for good.
Well, as Donny Girl says here over on YouTube's, it's essentially eugenics, and I agree with that. And I'm just reading the comments. City Troll comes out with a top class comment there, Paddy. If Trudeau was my leader, I'd commit suicide too. Dark humor. I know it's dark humor, but hey, we kind of.
This is the comeback actually from Canadian Mom. I'm just pulling it up just to give her fair dues. So now with people with mental illness, that's the last people, because what was it at the beginning? You must be clear sound of mind and body to decide that you wanted to euthanize yourself because of terminal illness. Yeah,
right.
But now it's mental illness.
Yeah. So talking of that, Jed, that cues up very nicely the last bit I want to talk about with everybody and with you, and that is, there's been developments in Scotland today. Actually last night and then today as well. There's been a piece of legislation going through the Scottish so-called parliament. It's not a parliament, it's an assembly. It's not, but they call it a parliament. And again, people went with that. They should never have allowed it to be even called a parliament. But anyway, the punchline on it is that going forward, I believe that kids as young as 16 to 17-year-olds can go and they can get their they can change their gender, Jed, legally. There's a 6-month wait from whenever you say, I want to be, if my name is Joe and I want to become Joanne, it'll take 6 months. And I'm 16, right? Because this feeds into the point you just made, young people when their minds are, teenage, all that sort of stuff. And they don't have to tell their parents. So you get the incredible scenario setting up here, which I want to talk to you about, where an English student, Jed, going to, let's say, the Dundee University, right? They go up and their first name is Joe. They go up there half the term later, they come back, they're now Joanne, and they've got a legal piece of paper from the Scottish government saying they are now Joanne. But that's not necessarily going to be recognized in England. So what the hell are they, Jeff?
They are screwed. Well, they are. Right, I'm telling you now. If you start your life as Joel, and you want your life to be Jane, put a frock on and call yourself Jane. But I will never fall into your delusion that you are now a woman. But you are somebody called Jane who wears a frock, but you're a bloke. Okay? That is that. Biology is biology. Okay? And no matter what they do to the dictionary, whether they redefine words, okay, or whether Cranky up in Scotland says, oh yeah, you kids, you can decide what you are. No, you can't. I'm telling you no, you cannot. You're born with meat and 2 veg, or you're born with a tuppence. Okay, as my parents say, and that is life. If you then want to put a frock on, or if you then want to put a suit on and say you're something else, or your name is different, that's fine. But I will not go along with your delusion.
But the thing is, it does set up this bizarre scenario whereby in Scotland, if you are in Scotland and you're 17-year-old or whatever age, but I guess that younger age, and you've decided that I'm changing my gender, that will become legal, Jed. There's no ifs or buts about it. You are legally of a different gender to your birth, but then you just travel across the border into England.
And you're not. So that shows the stupidity of the law. It's Cranky. What Cranky's trying to do is get votes. She's desperate for votes because her popularity is sinking. Why? Because they know they can never win an indie.
Well, that's true.
What she's trying to do is get the kids to keep her in power by saying, "Oh no, the kids, I'm so in touch with you, youth. Oh yeah, I can see that you were born in the wrong body. No, you weren't. You were born in our body, and it's either male or female. That is it."
Well, I see again some great comments coming up. I want to just read them out. Canadian mom, you're in top form tonight. In California, they now have 73 sexes. Yep. 73 doesn't surprise me. None of the, well, I'm not going to say. And Canadian mom also says a lesbian in the Netherlands says that men can't be lesbians, and she now faces 3 years in prison. That's right. That's an absolutely true story, Jed. It's incredible that a lesbian saying that men can't be lesbians is facing a prison term. Meanwhile, we had the ludicrous side of Labour MP Stella Creasy here in the UK coming out with the classic that, what did she say? Yeah, women can have a penis. And I just think, do you think they believe these things, or do you think they just say these things?
No, I think they just say them, David, because if you are a sound mind and body, you cannot actually think or really believe that a woman can have a penis. They must just be saying it because it's the current thing. And when it's not the current thing, which I find is slowly changing here because of mermaids and because of the other one that's been closed down. Yeah, again, NHS.
Yeah,
bindings on children and forcing children into sex change operations that alter their life forever. There is no coming back. Once you've chopped it off, you've chopped it off. That is it.
Sorry, can I just say, we just need to correct. It's actually Norway where the lady is being, the lesbian lady is being apparently threatened with 3 years in prison for saying men can't be lesbian.
What did he say in 1984?
Well,
Yeah. What did he say in 1984? He did
oh
say,
yeah, I know. Up
yeah,
and down. Yeah,
you will
yeah,
be asked and forced
yeah,
to
yeah.
oh, I'm trying to think what it is, but what you see with your own eyes is not true. Yeah. So when I see meeting two veils, they're telling me that that is a woman. Yeah, and I have to believe that. That is what he said in 1984, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but Orwell did talk of these things, but unfortunately, under Nicola Sturgeon, and we have someone on the stream called Scotland the Brave, so I am acknowledging you. I see you there. You know, Scotland has turned into this dystopian, dysfunctional hot mess. Is all I can describe it. But the thing that I did see, someone was telling me, Jed, I have to say, I'm not watching the Scottish Parliament live. You know, in the twilight hours. But I understand last night, as they were discussing this legislation and they were desperately trying to push it through before midnight, they forgot about the fact that apparently in the Scottish Parliament at midnight or whatever, the power is programmed to go off. So they were literally plunged into the darkness last night, which is why I think they then kicked off again this morning, and that's why it's become news today. But I mean, what a world! And again, like someone asks here, Super Jed TV says, "What happened to the Scots?" I mean, what did happen to the Scots, Jed? Because
I don't know, David. I really don't know, because you know, you take the classic Scot. A Scot man, and he was rocker. He was hard as nails, you know.
Yeah,
But where's that gone? And to be honest, I think it's still there. Actually, I think we still have, you know, your Rabs. And don't get me wrong, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but you still have the characters like the Rabs and his missus. You still have those characters, and they're fantastic. They're the fabric of Scotland, and that's what gives it its character and its unique charm. But what we have is this upper class layer. This upper class layer has got nothing to do with Scotland. Your Sturgeonites and those sort of people, and just the same here. You know, with these fake Tories and these communists that say they are Labour Party, but they're actually full-on communists. You know, they're the upper class, the grassroots. You know, the Scottish folk, the English folk, the average Joe on the street, just, you know, they roll their eyes. And I remember this starting way back, even when I was probably still at school or just coming to end of school. And I know we'd moved from chalkboards then and what have you, but that's my point. Chalkboards. It used to be a blackboard. Then you couldn't call it a blackboard. You had to call it a chalkboard. Why? And we all laughed, didn't we? Oh, PC, politically correct. Oh, well, it's a blackboard. It's a chalkboard now because you use chalk and it's a board. Yeah, but it was black and it was a board. Oh no, you can't call it a chalkboard anymore because now it's a whiteboard, and then it became a dry marker board. You see how the language changes over time.
Yeah, I do.
White supremacy. So it's now a dry marker board, and that is how language has changed from the 80s through to now, and it's constantly changing. And language does change, but it's not changing because of it naturally changing. It's changing because it's being forced to change. And this is like where the new definition in the dictionary of woman comes from, in the Oxford Dictionary. Somebody who identifies or does, and even there's a problem with that now. Do you know what the problem with that one is?
No, tell me.
Because part of the definition says that a woman is somebody who takes on a gender, a role that is commonly associated with that gender. So the feminists are now up in arms saying, well, no, that's what you're saying, that women should be in the kitchen, women do this, women do that. We've spent decades trying to get rid of that, saying, well, no, anybody can do these jobs, blah, blah, blah. And now you're saying, this is how you define a woman. Yeah. So the feminists are now up in arms. So there's a fight on now between the feminists and the idiots that write the dictionary.
Yeah. I just see a comment from Globus Hystericus here. He says, would we install circuitry into people who happen to believe that they're robots? Well, Globus, the answer is some people would say, yeah, we should do that. Yeah, we should, we should. Yeah, I mean,
people who identified as an attack helicopter fly out to Afghanistan and start firing missiles.
Well, I mean, Republican Rocker sums it up well. He says, we are in clown world on steroids. Absolutely, I agree with that. And
no, it's spot on.
Canadian Mom says, this is a loony world we live in. So yeah, I agree. Actually, Canadian Mom, that second comment you make, nobody is assigned gender at birth. I agree with that.
Your sex is recognized at birth.
We have it. We're 100% on that, actually. And these are the things that they do. Jed, to your point, they use language as weapons. Well, we call them the left, loosely speaking, the communist, sort of Marxist,
the cancer.
Yeah, they use language and they do these wee tricks like, look, at birth, you're assigned a gender, but it mightn't be the right one. No, you're not. You're not assigned a gender. No. Canadian Mom, you're dead right. You are not. You are not.
The doctor or the midwife observes reality at birth.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely, Jed. Yeah, but reality is the one thing, because we live in clown world. Reality is at a premium, and unfortunately, there's not. If you speak up for reality, Jed, initially the mob come for you. The mob come for you. Oh, we'll finish that. I know we're near the end of our time, but again, we haven't had a chance to talk about this one. But I'll just briefly talk about it, Jed, about the mob. So, the mob have come for the TV presenter Jeremy Clarkson. He hosts a well-known couple of TV programs in the UK over an article that he wrote where he did say some things about Meghan Markle, which were, in my opinion, a bit cruel. But listen, people can write what they want. My view, so the mob have come for him and they've said, oh, sack him from this, sack him from the other. I saw Katie Hopkins weighing in on it because that same thing happened to her. She lost her son, Colm, over her comments about illegal migrants. I remember that with Katie. And I see Clarkson going through it as well at the moment. And my view is, Jed, that people should be allowed to write what they want. If you don't like it, don't read the thing, turn the page over. You might say, well, that's what I do. If I see something, if I read something, I think, I'm not too keen about that. I move on. Do you know what I mean, Jed? I don't think, oh, I'll get my pitchfork and my torch and we're going to go and we're going to run those people out of town.
No, because you're not after victim culture. You're not a victim. You just go, I disagree with that, I'll move on.
Yes, leave it, move on.
But if you have been taught to be a victim, then you have to have something to be a victim of. And anything that disagrees with your worldview makes you into a victim. Jeremy Clarkson is absolutely awesome at what he does. I don't read his articles, but I watch his programs, and he's brilliant at what he does. Whether he's down on the farm or whether he's driving a car, he's brilliant at what he does. And the fact is, whether you like it or not, he should have the right. He has a right. And if you don't like it, jog on. That is the bottom line. But now they're trying to get him banned from even being on TV. Never mind writing an article.
Yeah. But that's the difference, I think, between them and us. I think everybody watching this would take a view. If you say something you don't like, you can say I don't like it, but you don't call for the head of the person that's written it or spoken it to be, to be taken off.
We've said it so often, David, haven't we? The left want to destroy you.
They do.
We just want to have a debate.
But is that our weakness?
Yes, I think we should be out to destroy them too. Because us being all kind of, oh yeah, well, you can have your point of view and I'll have mine, and then they go after you as if you're evil incarnate, destroys you, gets you kicked off platforms, get you lose your job, etc., etc. It never happens the other way, and we need to push back the other way and say, no, this is not right. You are the evil ones, not us. It's about time we fire with fire.
And that's why you see, despite the fact that it's imperfect, I do welcome Elon Musk's Twitter 2.0, because the reality is that after years of silence, some of these leftist demagogues are now having to put up with people like me and many others who will challenge them and, are quite capable of challenging them. They don't get it to themselves anymore. They loved Twitter when it was just an echo chamber for them. And now it's not so much of an echo chamber.
That's it. They love Twitter when they could get you cancelled. Now they can be cancelled.
Yeah.
It's a different thing now. Oh no, it's a private company. Well, it was when it was on your side of the argument. Now it's on no side of the argument and just applying the rules irrelevant of the sides. Now it's a different matter. Now you think Musk should be jailed and Twitter should be cancelled and so on and so forth. That is not how it works. You have a set of rules and you apply them equally across the board. That's also what we do in justice. But we don't do that with injustice now with the left, because you gain people like this woman who's going to go to jail because she's will not deny reality, and I won't deny reality. And if that puts me in jail, then then so be it. But I will not deny reality. If you have meat and two veg, you're a bloke. If you have top doodaddies, you're a woman. Simple as.
Right, there you go. So, right, folks, we have come to the end of our allocated time. Yes, Canadian Mom, I know that. I mean, basically, Twitter, the FBI were running Twitter. And as somebody else pointed out today, that's true in the US. I'd love to know, Jed, in the UK, who exactly was running Twitter during the same time. I have my own suspicions about that. I think I know who they are. And I think they've lost their power to a significant degree as well. But anyway, listen, I see all the Iberstellar. I see the concerns about Elon Musk. I see all that there. All I'm simply saying is Twitter is a better place because of him. I think that's indisputable. But having said that, I also welcome Getter. I welcome Rumble. I welcome all free speech platforms. And yes, Alphabet Cat. Exactly. Of course, it's MI5. 77th Brigade. Yes, guys, I think we're all on the same page here. Listen, to wrap things up here, this is the final live stream. This is sort of where you physically get to see me, but this side of Christmas. We will have our podcast tomorrow night, Jed, going out onto Twitter and I think, is it, Jed? Is it going to Twitter?
Yeah, it'd be Twitter and Getter.
Yeah,
as well as Podbean.
So we'll do that bit of stuff tomorrow night. But really, all it remains, I know Jed's got something to play out on, and we, as usual, will do that. But I just want to take an opportunity to firstly wish you, Jed, and the family a very, very happy Christmas, and hope you have a really nice time. I want to thank everybody on every stream who supported me this year. And supported Jed as well, all of us here, as we try to fight back. And 12 months ago, we were in the darkness of all the vaccine passport malarkey. 12 months on, we're strong. We've sustained ourselves as a community here together. I'm so proud of each and every one of you folks. It means so much to me. So just on behalf of me again, a Merry Christmas to everyone here. Whatever your faith is, have a brilliant time. And as I said, we'll be back tomorrow night on the podcast, which we will put over here on Together. But apart from that, I'll see you on the other side of the holidays. So Jed, I think you've got something maybe you want to play.
I do, David. I just want to wish everybody as well a very Merry Christmas. And I hope you get everything you hope for and more. And you get family around you and you have such a lovely time. I'm hoping, my son will be here on Thursday. One of my sons will be here on Thursday. So that's brilliant. And so Merry Christmas. Now, I'm just going to line this up. Normally, I play out with something, how stupid people can be, etc., or something like that, or people doing things wrong and being caught doing things wrong. But this time I just wanted to put a nice message out, so I'll play out with this. So thank you. God bless you all.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everybody. So here we go.
Question. That bike, how much for it? I want to buy it. I like the handlebars.
Selling my bike.
No? How come?
I don't want to. How much would you pay for it?
How much would you ask for it?
Give me
$100 for the bike.
Yeah.
You like it that much?
Yeah. Got like the bike.
Can I sit on it for a second, feel it? What's your name?
Anthony.
Anthony, I'm Zachary. Nice to meet you.
I'll walk back home.
You sure you want to part with it?
Yeah, I'm gonna part with it, man. I get another one.
So Anthony, actually what I have for you, the first person who was going to say yes to me, let me buy their bike, I was giving them $500.
Yeah? Ooh, are you serious? Here's your bike.
Actually, one more thing. The bike's still yours.
Oh, really?
You can
Thank
keep the bike, man.
Hey, man, shit.
Can I give you a hug by any chance, man? Love you.
Appreciate it, bro. I need that.
What's your message to the world?
Be kind. You never know when you're running to an angel. I appreciate it.